My name is Mbulelo Maigana. I've been forced to make this video recording because of an injustice that I'm experiencing with Mecedesbenz in Eastgate, Bedfordview, in Gauteng. I don't believe that any customer that gets service from a company such as that one is supposed to experience what I am currently experiencing. And the intention is to give this information to various media platforms for them to be able to publicize and make sure that no one experiences what I'm experiencing currently with Mecedesbenz at Bedfordview in Eastgate in relation to the vehicle, my vehicle that has been there for 6 months now. This is not an intention to tarnish the image of the organization or the business, but it is to state facts in terms of how companies like that one treat their customers. Round about June, I sent my car for service to Mecedesbenz in Bedfordview or in Eastgate, and at that time I was given a quotation that came close to about 100,000 rands for servicing the car and dealing with all the aspects that had to be dealt with in terms of the car. Obviously, there was an agreement in terms of continuing with servicing the vehicle. To cut the story short, what happened was there was a delay in terms of completing the servicing of the car because Mecedesbenz Bedfordview gave me information that they were struggling to get parts from Germany, and because of the COVID situation they were struggling to sort of make sure that they're able to do everything that was supposed to be done on time. I became patient with them, and they kept the car until they got the parts. And one of the challenges that they had also was the fact that they had taken off the sunroof and they were struggling to repair the sunroof, and they had to take the car to another company in order for the sunroof to be repaired. But in all that time I was patient with the company. I did not make any noise. I did not sort of trouble them. I just allowed them to do what they were supposed to do for all those months. And then on the 10th of November, I was told that the car, 10th of November 21, I was told that the car was ready and I could come and collect it. And I had stressed to the service advisor that he should please make sure that everything has been dealt with and the car has been repaired and serviced in the manner that I had directed, because I don't want any comebacks. The car had been with them for almost 5 months by that time. When I arrived, I was told that the car is ready, I could take it. And I took the car, got out of the gate and drove around the corner and got onto the freeway. Hardly 2 kilometers when I was driving the car, I could tell that there was something wrong with the car. It had high rev count, and I immediately called the dealership, particularly the service advisor that was advising and assisting me on the car, and told him about the challenge or the problem that I am experiencing with the car, that it has a high rev count and I cannot tell as to what seems to be the problem. He said in a few seconds time he returned to me and asked if the car was not on a low drive. And obviously, being not a technical person, I then told him that I don't know what he's talking about, and I was going to turn around and bring the car back. And he did not in any way talk to me about what he meant by the low drive, or even advise me then in terms of what I need to do if he suspected the car that was on a low drive, and also realizing that I did not know what he was talking about. My intention then was just to turn around and take the car back to the dealership. Unfortunately, the first turn that I got, which was closer to the dealership, there were trucks because it's a freeway that were blocking the way, and not knowing, obviously, as not being a technical person, I decided that I would take the next off ramp that I got, which was not far from the first off ramp. And when I was about to get to that off ramp, smoke came out from the engine, and the car shut down, and I could not drive the car anymore. And I had to then call the dealership to organize a tow truck to come and collect the car. Indeed, they organized a tow truck and collected the car, and I went with the tow truck to the dealership. On arriving at the dealership, I narrated them the story in terms of what has happened, and they too were not sure as to what was wrong with the car, and they needed to investigate. They all gathered around the car, I think the managers of the dealership and also the technicians of the dealership, and I was asked to sit on chairs that were far from the discussions that they were having. They called me after some time of discussions that they were having, and then told me that the reason why the car experienced the challenges that it had was the fact that the car was driven on low drive, which is a 4x4, one of the 4x4 mechanisms, and that's why this has happened. And essentially, the engine of the car was damaged, and it would need to be replaced. I then asked them as to who had put the car on the low drive, because I had never, in the 10 years I have owned the car, put the car on a low drive, and had never gone with the car on a 4x4 excursion, and therefore that vehicle has never been put on a low drive. I asked as to what happened, who put the car on the low drive, because in the number of occasions that I had taken the car for service there, I had never experienced that challenge, that the car be put on the low drive. And I want to remind you again that the car had been with them for 5 months, and I don't know who drove the car to where, including taking it to where the sunroof was fixed, and what they did in terms of checking things on the car, I actually don't know. All I did from my side was just to take the key, put the car on drive, and then drove until I experienced the challenge that I experienced, and called them immediately. Now, what is happening now in terms of this dealership? This dealership is trying to pin the fault in terms of the damage to the engine to me. That me, as the driver of the vehicle, I damaged the vehicle and the engine of the vehicle, and therefore they're not liable for fixing or paying for the new engine for the vehicle. And yet, when I collected the vehicle, they are the ones that had put the vehicle on low drive and never informed me about it. And even when I told them that this is the problem that I have, they could not explain to me as to what the problem was or what they're suspecting, and also what I should do. And me, not being a technical person, how was I supposed to know that this is what is happening with the car? And in the first instance, why did they put the car on low drive? So what has happened since then is that there is a recording that I made when I had a subsequent meeting with one of the managers in the company, where he admitted that they had delivered the car to me, having put it on a low drive, and that's what caused the damage to the vehicle. Now, they are saying that the distance that I drove in terms of the car is the one that resulted in the damage. And I'm saying to them, how would I have known as a client? And again, I did not put the vehicle on low drive. And secondly, there was never advice from them to say, either park the car on the side of the road or look for this button to remove the car from the low drive. All they are saying is that I'm liable for the damage that has happened in the vehicle. And I would like the media houses to look at the unedited version of the meeting that I had with the manager from Mecedesbenz, and judge for yourself is this not a company that is looking to abdicate its responsibility in terms of ensuring that it does right by its customer. In fact, this is not the first time that this company is doing this to me. It has done this before with another vehicle, until I threatened that I was going to expose them, where they decided that they were going to rectify the mistake. In this instance, they can actually see the amount that the company is going to lose in terms of replacing the engine, and also possible repercussions to them as employees of that company. And what they want to do now is to sort of cover their backs and make sure that I take the fall as a client, and I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to allow them to do that. And this is me exposing them in terms of what they are doing. And this is information that I'm going to spread as far as wide, including the video. And because this is an unedited video, this is not where I'm making up things myself as a customer. This is a conversation that I had with a manager from Mecedesbenz, and I would like customers of Mecedesbenz Bedfordview Eastgate to be particularly vigilant in terms of taking their cars to this dealership, because people there, they don't care about customers. They're all looking to make money. After paying about 100,000 rands, and this is the treatment that they can give to a client. They don't care about it. They just care about making money. And I would advise people not to take their cars there. It's a bad company. There are a lot of people that have told me stories in terms of the bad treatment that they've received, and also the incompetence of the people that work there in terms of dealing with their cars. And I would like you to look for yourself, or judge for yourself, in terms of the next clips and videos that you're going to see, and see as to whether perhaps am I being malicious or am I stating facts, because I'm not manufacturing anything in terms of what happened.
Yeah. So the discussion around your vehicles that I've discussed it with my DP and with our brand leader.
What is DP?
It's George. It's our dealer principal.
Oh, dealer principal.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've discussed the matter with him. Obviously, they are aware while the vehicle was here for so long, waiting for the sunroof components, as we've discussed, and you know that we've waited for it so long.
Yeah.
So they are fully aware of what has happened. I've spoken to them, and obviously the vehicle was driven in the low range. Okay. So when you phoned in, okay, and then Lapis asked you about the low range, if it's not in the low range, I think you said to him that you don't know what he means. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that you phoned from Land Rover.
No. I was passing Land Rover.
Passing Land Rover. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So you passed Land Rover. Okay. Then furthermore, you couldn't get off at Van Bieden because you wanted to return to the dealership.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you couldn't get off at Van Bieden because obviously a truck was in that lane and you couldn't make it. Okay. But then also you've driven to Voortrekker Road.
Where I was going to take, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that damaged the engine because of the high revs. Okay. Because obviously on the low range the vehicle is revving a lot higher. Alright. And that damaged the engine. Engine seized up basically, and the conrod went through the block under the compressor.
I don't know, I mean those are technical terms, but I'm listening.
Yeah. I've got a photo of it, okay. Luckily we could get in there with the endoscope, so we didn't have to strip off the compressor and all of that. I've got quite a clear picture of it, where the conrod has damaged the block. This block cannot be repaired. Okay. This engine has to be replaced. Okay. But in the situation where you are at the moment is because you were driving the vehicle and you didn't actually, you reported it, yes, but you didn't stop and say, well, I'm not driving any further. Get someone to me. Show me what's going on. Or get my car towed.
Surely in terms of that argument, as you rightly pointed and said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Then it was incumbent on the dealership to then say stop the car, because I don't know what you're talking about, and all I hear from my side is this sound that is not okay, and I'm thinking that okay, this will still allow me to turn and then come back. You get what I'm saying? So the assumption that I would stop the car is based on the fact that I know what is happening.
Our argument is just that the vehicle was revving high.
Yes.
And you didn't stop.
No. I understand what you say.
Yes.
That I didn't stop until what happened. But the thing is, what is it that would have told me to stop? Because when I called Lapis and I said, I'm turning back, he didn't say stop. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, as you rightly pointed yourself, I told him that I don't know what he's talking about.
Yes.
So therefore, if after telling him that I don't know what he's talking about, he was supposed to be the one on behalf of the dealership that says, then you need to stop, because I don't know what he's talking about. I still tell him that I'm going to turn and come back. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the distance that you've driven is a problem.
You see, that is in terms of your knowledge. Remember, that's
Yes.
in terms of your knowledge, that then if the vehicle was stopped, the damage could have been minor or there could have not been a damage.
Yeah.
But as the user of the vehicle who didn't know what he's talking about, and having told him that I'm going to turn back and bring the car back, he was supposed to say, stop if you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, if you say you don't know what I'm talking about, stop the vehicle. Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that would enable me, because when you talk about the distance, that becomes immaterial to me, because I wouldn't have known that I cannot drive that distance because of a particular reason. Because I rightly pointed, like you said, I don't know what you're talking about. This car has never been driven in low range ever since. I've mentioned that. It's never been driven in low range since I bought it. Never. Not even once. You get what I'm saying? And as you rightly pointed, you delivered it on low range. You're with me? And therefore,
I don't know if we delivered it in low range.
You did. That's what you even said. I mean, I did mention to you in the over 10 years I've had that car.
Yes.
It has never been on low range. And when I always bring it here and I then collect it, it's never be a problem that I find it that, okay, now there's something about low range and all this stuff. Because like I pointed to you the last time I was here, I've never gone on 4x4 excursions with that car. So there was never a time where I would put it on low range. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So therefore, I am saying you are right when you say it was delivered in low range. And as to who pressed the low range thing inside the dealership, I do not know. Because if you can tell the short distance where there was a problem with the car and I made the call, because from here to Land Rover, it's a matter of, I don't think it's even a kilometer. I think
it's about 3, make it maximum 3 kilometers.
I think it's less than.
Maybe even
less. It's less than.
Yeah.
It's very short. And I called at that time, which then shows you that, listen, I know my vehicle. I mean, I've driven this car for over 10 years, so therefore I know my vehicle. And when I complained that there's something wrong with the car, and like you rightly pointed, then Lapis maybe spoke to you about, listen, that he says there's this, the rev count is high, because that's what I told him.
Yeah.
If then, when he told me that is it on low range, and I said I don't know what he's talking about, and if he had said to me, because I was not in Fort Tracker then,
Yeah.
I was still close here, if he had told me that if you don't know what I'm talking about, please park the car on the side of the road, I would have done that. Because for me, it simply said that, listen, I still have an opportunity to turn and come back if I miss the fund building. So therefore, it's immaterial to me that I drove up to Fort Tracker. And at the time that I was driving up to Fort Tracker, what was the intention? The intention was to turn back and bring back the car, because a problem had been detected in terms of by myself, and I communicated. So I think the argument therefore that the dealership is using does not hold water, that I had driven the car too far.
That is actually the cause of the engine failures, because
I understand that that's how what things then finally happen.
Yes.
But I am saying the argument therefore that the dealership is putting forward that you as the owner of the vehicle had driven the car too far, and therefore the assumption that I'm I'm getting, which you have not articulated as yet, but I'm getting that assumption that you want, like I said, in the last meeting that I had with you, you want to put the blame on me.
So you were driving the vehicle?
Yes, obviously, I had come to collect the
Yes,
vehicle. That
yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
That
And
makes
then
sense.
you also mentioned that you obviously revved the vehicle very high.
No. Remember, I told you that the what is this thing? At what speed the car was moving.
Yeah.
What did I say? If you remember very well.
You said, well, you said to me the vehicle was revving very high.
Yes, but at what was the speed at which it was traveling? I did mention it when we had the meeting
I
last
can't
night.
remember exactly.
I said it was between 60 and 80 kilometers.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, if the vehicle is then revving at that between 60 and 80 kilometers an hour, is going that side, and that's exactly the reason why I called. You see, you would be within your rights and also be correct if I continued and I drove with the car and I didn't call, I didn't talk to anyone,
No,
and then finally this happened. And in this instance, that's not what happened. I informed the dealership that there's something wrong with the car immediately coming out of the dealership. And the only reason why I couldn't get here sooner is because I couldn't tell at Van Buren, which is here. Because then, I would have been in an accident. Okay. And not knowing as to what was wrong with the car, not having information and knowledge as to what was wrong with the car, the next off-ramp for me is Ford Tracker, and then I can come back.
And Germiston?
I don't know the Germiston off-ramp. I've never used it. I know the Ford Tracker off-ramp. That I will take the Ford Tracker off-ramp and then come back. Are you with me? So that was what happened. And for me, this is why I did say in the last meeting that I am very uncomfortable with the fact that despite me taking the necessary step to call the dealership and say there's something wrong with the car, and the dealership, instead of asking me only based on what you're saying now, is the car on low range, and me confirming that I don't know what you're talking about, and the dealership not saying that, okay, low range means this, if there's this button, press that button, or saying park the car on the side of the road because there's a damage that's going to happen if you continue to drive. You get what I'm saying? Or look at this, you will see it's going to say low range or
But
something.
it does give you a warning.
No, I did. What warning? I didn't get any warning.
It's giving you a notification that the vehicle is in low range.
No notification. I never got any
There's a
notification.
little L on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it is now normal range, your high range, it will be a H. And then you will get a little L.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
this
the
is
L
why I'm saying that if that information was communicated, then it would have made things much easier and we wouldn't be having this discussion. And everything would be okay. If the car was damaged, it would have been minor damage and all the stuff. Because to me, it would seem that the damage did not happen because I went out to Fort Tracker. The damage happened while I went out here because I called when I was at Land Rover. So therefore the damage then was happening already at that time when I called. So it's not about moving from Van Buren or not being able to turn at Van Buren and going to Fort Tracker, because at that time I had already detected that there was something wrong, so the damage was happening at that time. So therefore the Fort Tracker turn off for me, does not hold water in terms of the argument.
But it is quite far to drive the vehicle.
Yes, it is quite far in terms of now the technical knowledge in terms of what would have happened. Because I do not know, you do not know, at the time when the car was passing past Land Rover, how much damage had been done in the car by then.
No one would know.
No, exactly.
Yes.
But the fact is, if something that resulted in that fault happened here in the dealership when I picked up the car. So that would not have happened in the first instance.
The things we don't know if it was in the low range when it left the dealership.
But why would you see? This is Philip. This is something that I think is logical. This person has owned this car for more than 10 years. You get what I'm saying? And this car has never been put on low range. And he has been driving this car for more than 10 years. So why would he put it on low range?
By accident?
No.
While he was standing at the garage?
No.
Maybe?
No. Definitely not. I've stood in garages for the past over 10 years.
Yeah.
Never. Why? It's never been a situation where you said, oh, by mistake, I touched the low range button and, I need to change it. It's never happened before. What I did, took the car, put petrol in the, nothing touched and all the stuff. And this is why I did say before when I was there that I understand the mentality of businesses where they're going to say, you know what, let's try and look as to whether perhaps we can hold the customer accountable for this instead of us taking accountability for it, because it's going to cost us a lot of money. And secondly, if for instance my performance is evaluated, my performance is going to be evaluated as below par because I've cost the business a lot of money. And therefore the customer is supposed to be the one that takes the flag. And this is why I said last time, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to agree to it.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair. It is not fair. And it is not right. Ethically, it is not right. Okay? It is not right. There is no way I can have taken my car here knowing that it's on all low range, or perhaps even by mistake putting it on low range. I don't go towards that button. Why? Because the gear is there. I don't need to go there. Why would I even by mistake touch the low range button? This car was standing here for a long time, and there was even water underneath when we were testing the aircon and all the stuff. That could have happened even that time. I do not know. And you say also you do not know. But the fact is, I took the car, and when I took it, that happened. It then means that at the time that I took the car here, it was on low range. It was not on the normal drive.
The thing is, there is no evidence that the vehicle was in low range at the time when you took the vehicle.
There is evidence. There is evidence because this is what happened.
Yeah.
The incident,
the dealership.
Now, but you see, if that argument is the argument that is being advanced by the dealership, it is an ethical and immorally wrong argument, because it goes to what I said earlier on, that you want to hide behind that and say, at the time that you took the car, there is no one who then is supposed to know as to when it was on low range or not on low range. Because me as a customer, to show you that something happened when I picked up the car from there, I called immediately when I realized that there was a problem. So Philip, I think from my side is, I'm a very reasonable person. I'm not a confrontational or combative person, but I'm not afraid to take on a fight. I'm not scared to take on a fight, and I have a lot of resources that I can use to fight, and even damage the reputation of this dealership. I can do that. Okay, I have a lot of influential people, okay, on my side that I know, and I've already briefed them on this.
Yeah.
And I've told them that this is what the dealership is going to try and do. They said, let them try. You see, this is what is wrong. If the dealership really is ethical in terms of dealing with its customers, it needs to take ownership and accountability, where it's going to say, you know what, the client did everything possible to alert us. Maybe if we had responded to him differently when he said there was something wrong with the car, and say maybe park the car, or tell him what do we mean by low range, check this and all the stuff, maybe the client would not, or we would not be where we are right now, and the client would have known and would have stopped the car and all that, because I have no interest in damaging my own car.
Yeah, that'd be
because the car had been here for almost 6 months, and I always wanted it back. And why would I not therefore take the necessary precaution and make sure that there's nothing that's happening to the
Just
car?
keep in consideration that you said that you're going to turn around and come back to the dealership.
Yes.
You said so.
Yes.
But you also didn't say that you're going to be driving that far and come back to the dealership.
But
how did we?
Yeah. Okay.
How are we supposed to know that? How far are you from our dealership?
No, but at the time
You didn't specify.
I understand what you said, but I think what you are failing to also recognize in the statement that you're making is the fact that I am saying to you, not even as far as Ford Tracker, as I was driving and passing Land Rover, I told you as the dealership that there's something wrong with the car. So therefore, for me, it was incumbent on the dealership to then tell me you can't even go far, you need to turn. But on my own, I said I was going to turn and come here.
Yes.
And I specified as to what is it that was happening with the car. I specified that, meaning that from a layman's point of view, I'm able to at least tell you as to what is wrong. But from a technical point of view, you are the people that know as to what then is happening if this person is saying this is what is happening with the car. The rev count is too high. Check if the car is on low range. I don't know what you're talking about. You get what I'm saying? And in that instance then, it was incumbent on the dealership to say, this is what low range means. If you don't know, please park the car. And there is no way I would have just parked the car. I wouldn't have even tried to go to 10 Ford Tracker and all this stuff. Because for me, remember, I believe that whatever that was happening with the car, missing Van Buren offering, I would be able to turn and I would come and bring the car back and it would be fixed and all this stuff. Because I mean, for me, it was thinking that maybe there's a spanner that's in the car and I don't know. Okay, because of that. So I'm a lay person, I'm not a technical person. And therefore, I don't think that it's okay to then put a lot of emphasis in terms of your arguments and your submission on with technical information that I would not know as a layperson. And that's why we bring cars here. We bring cars here because you are the technical person. We are just lay people. And we depend on you for guidance and all the things that relate to the car.
But also say you've driven the vehicle for 11 years, you said?
Almost 11 years.
Almost 11
Yes.
years. I think surely you should know that this vehicle does have a low range function.
Like I said to you, I have never, the only reason why I bought that car is because I love the car.
Okay.
Not because of its ability in terms of 4x4 or 4x4 capability. No. And this is why I've never gone on 4x4 excursions with that car. I've never. I did not buy it for, this is why even you see even the paint work, it is still good and all that stuff. Because for me, I bought it not because of its 4x4 capability. It's because I just love the car.
Yeah.
So therefore, much as I've had it for almost 11 years, the other capabilities that it has, I've never engaged them because they were not of interest to me. The interest was just the car itself. So I've never been on a 4x4 excursion with that car.
But at the end of the day, so it is also the operator of the vehicle's responsibility to know all the functions of the vehicle.
Yes, you are correct. But that also means that if the operator is also inclined to use what the functionalities of the vehicle. So you can't therefore put the car on low range here and then say you are supposed to know that it's on low range. The fact that if I do not put my car on low range and I then do not know that it is on low range and then I call you because you see that's key. I call you and say this is what is happening with the car, which then tells you that I do not know what is happening with the car. As the technical person that I had brought the car to, you then are supposed to guide me through what is happening. In this instance, yes, you did say check if the car is at low range, and to my not even into my defense, I said, and you also has articulated that I don't know what you're talking about, because indeed I did not know.
This is what you said over the telephone.
Yes, because I do not know. You see, lay people do not know the functionalities in terms of the car. No matter how much we can read in terms of all those, but we don't know. We would never be able to do that. And that's why we bring cars here. so that we are assisted and we are educated on other things. All I can tell you as a lay person is that this car is making a sound that says, "Woo." I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So therefore, I don't think it's fair to turn and say, as the operator of the car, you're supposed to know all the functionalities. It's impossible. It's impossible.
But the low range is a function of the vehicle that you should know about that.
That's an assumption that you can
And
make.
there is the warning on the cluster.
No, but this is why I'm saying
the
that's
selection number on the cluster that says it's in low range.
But this is why I am saying, in this instance, that has never been a point where this car is driven. And you and I have been traversing this thing since we started this discussion. Never been on low range. What would then make me know that this car is on low range? And to my defense, when I then say I don't know what you're talking about, that clearly indicates then that this man does not know what low range is.
Yeah.
So therefore, what that was supposed to happen is that low range is this, or there's this button, push that button and all the stuff. I don't know, but that did not happen. Okay. And again, I don't want to say, hey, listen now, I'm putting Lapis under the bus, I'm throwing him under the bus and all this stuff. That's not my intention, but I'm just narrating the chain of events as to what happened. Because there is no way that I would have driven the car knowing what low range means and the consequences of driving the car on low range. What would I have to gain by doing that? I love that car. There is no way I would do that. You know, I would do. And this is why even when I was supposed to come and pick it up, I refused to come on a particular time where I said, Lapis, I don't want to come. I want you to go around and check everything that we spoke about, because I don't want to be upset. You know, I want you to check everything. You get what I'm saying? To show that I love the car. So there is no way that knowingly I would drive the car further than where it's supposed to be driven if I get the necessary guidance that this car is on this. Because up to now, or even when I brought this car, because you also needed to inspect it,
yes,
you didn't know what was wrong with the car until you've done your assessment. I did not know. You did not know. And therefore, why would I supposed to know that this car was on low range, whereas you yourself, you didn't know what was wrong with the car when I then brought it back?
Until we've investigated.
Exactly. This is the same thing that, and yet you are technical people.
Yes.
I'm a lay person. I wouldn't have known. I would have known. And therefore, I think that the biggest point that perhaps we need to talk about is the fact that when I picked up this car, it was on low range. Now, as to who did that within the dealership or not, I wasn't here. I wasn't here, and probably you also don't know. So therefore, yes, exactly. But the reality is, I picked up the car, it was on low range.
There is no proof that it was in low range at the time of the deal.
There is proof, because the distance that I drove and the call that I made should tell you that it was on low range. Otherwise, if it was not there, that would not have happened.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Sorry, sir. Can I see you for a second, please? Thank you.
Sorry? Yeah, okay, so I understand where you're coming from and what you're saying. I think what you need to do is send us a complaint on the system, okay, on email, all right, and we will respond then on the email with you.
Okay, all right.
Exactly
I personally,
what we've discussed now.
Yeah, I will do that. I will
Yes.
do that with pleasure. I will do that. The one thing though that I just need to mention on record, which I suspected even in terms of the previous meeting that we had, that the intention is for the dealership to abdicate any potential responsibility in terms of paying for fixing the car. And for me, I still believe that that's the intention in terms of the dealership. And if that's the intention from the side of the dealership, and I think that we then are going to have a battle, because it's not something that I'm going to agree to.
Yeah.
It's not because I like fighting. I don't. I prefer to resolve things amicably and we see as to how far we go. And I will not agree. I will not agree, and at no point should there be any inclination that I'm going to agree to paying for the engine.
Yes.
One of the things that I am always aware of, and I always do, where I believe that I am supposed to deal with issues because I'm accountable for them, I take accountability. Okay? I take accountability, but where I believe that I am not supposed to take accountability, there is no reason why I should take accountability in such instances, and this is one of them. And I can send the email. It doesn't really hurt me to do that. But I mean, if you feel that we need to have another meeting with your DP and whoever that will be here, I have no problem coming and we're having that discussion again. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Because I am not yet on a war path.
Exactly, yes.
I'm still on a path that says this thing needs to be dealt with. Okay. Where we then reach a deadlock and we say, listen, this is the deadlock. That's when then I weigh my options, and this is why I'm recording even the discussion that we have. Even the one that we'll have, I will still record it. Because when I then go on the next level, I then need to use that so that people do not say I'm being malicious and all this stuff. Because all I'm putting is, everything that I'm trying to put is factual. It is not something that I'm assuming, it's factual. So I just wanted to end with that I'm willing to have further meetings if you need further meetings on this issue. I'm open to that. And secondly, the letter that you say I need to write or email, that I can do even today. I don't have a problem. Can do that.
I think let's go that route. Okay. Put it on the mail for us, and we can always take it from there.
I will be happy to do that. As you can tell, I'm not a confrontational person. Normally a confrontational person. And I try also not to be rude to people, because I don't think there's a reason for me to be rude. And even in this instance, I'm not going to be rude. All I'm going to do.
That won't get us anywhere.
Exactly. So all I'm saying that let's have another meeting again after having written the email, and then we then take things from there. And my sincere hope, because this is the dealership where I've bought my cars. I've had a number of cars that I've bought from. I'm a Mecedesbenz person. That my relationship should not be spoiled by this, with this dealership, because I have a long
relationship,
history with this, and also M2. Before this one was open, I was dealt with M2, and from M2 I then came here, this side. So I have a long history with these two dealerships, and my hope is this doesn't spoil it, because I still want to engage, I still want to buy cars and all that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
Put it in an email for us.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And then we'll forward it to our DPs, and just the same way that we've just had the discussion.
Okay.
Whatever we've discussed now, put it in an email for us, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
just wanted to meet with you today just to let you know of what we find, because I said to you, I will get back to you to tell you exactly what we find.
Okay. Because see, the one thing that I'm also worried about is the time that is going to take to get the engine and you fix that car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't be able to tell yet.
So that's the other thing that also is on my mind.